For mid-sized and small water utilities, there are many challenges to providing water and wastewater services to customers. Some of these challenges are due to growth that requires new capacity. In other cases, utilities with declining populations and water sales are struggling to generate the revenue to maintain service quality without adding to their customer base. These challenges have driven many water systems to enter into agreements with other utilities to buy or sell services. Smaller utilities entering into purchase agreements with other systems are often worried about being treated fairly, and at the same time, the utility they want to partner with has to be able to show a benefit to their existing customers. When a partnership is formed, the smaller utility likely benefits by having reliable water services for residents at a price lower than what they could provide on their own. The larger utility benefits by having a dependable long-term source of revenue that allows them to maintain or invest in their water utility. The result can be a more robust and reliable regional water system. It is essential for all parties that the interlocal or inter-utility agreements that create these partnerships are well constructed and take into consideration present and future situations. At a minimum, an agreement needs to include basic elements such as details about the parties involved, obligations of the parties, and the duration of the agreement. A contract that only covers the minimum will miss some key common issues. Let's take a look at some examples of more complex issues to consider when crafting your interlocal agreement. First, look at the service area between the two utilities and make a plan. Start by clearly defining the current service boundaries of each utility, and then plan for who will serve any future growth not included within these boundaries. For example, a new shopping center will be a source of revenue for a utility system. So if there's no plan for serving that area, multiple utilities may want to serve the new development. Agreeing to a future service area prevents utilities from competing to serve this new growth or running duplicate line extensions. Not addressing this or leaving it ambiguous can lead to serious problems down the road. Now, let's think about the actual product that is being bought and sold: water. Clear language in the agreement is beneficial to everyone involved. It's never a good idea to assume both parties understand all the variables. For example, how clean is the water at the point of purchase? Will the buyer need to provide additional treatment after the water moves across town? Is there a minimum or maximum amount that can be bought or sold? How are these minimums monitored, on a daily basis or averaged over a longer period of time? Utilities that purchase water or wastewater services typically have to buy more of the service than they're able to sell to their customers. Water leaks and other types of non-revenue water are some of the causes of the difference. With wastewater, inflow and infiltration can be an unwelcome surprise for a utility that pays a significant amount to treat stormwater that enters their collection system and goes to their partner to be treated. Some agreements provide a level of relief for these situations. However, the purchaser often pays for every gallon of service, even when it is not directly benefiting their customers. Water rates will increase over time, so utilities should include very specific language outlining how and when rates should be changed. Adjustments can be as simple as tying rates to inflation or to what the seller charges their own retail customers. The interlocal agreement should also identify the precise method that will be used to cover future capital costs. But be mindful here. Simply including capital costs in the rate without a minimum purchase requirement can be problematic if the buyer suddenly uses less water and the seller was counting on that revenue to pay capital costs like debt service. Whether it's from a large water user such as a factory shutting down or the population shrinking when a major employer leaves town. Not having a clear interlocal agreement can lead to conflicts arising. Here's an example. Smallville purchases its water from Mediumville, and each community uses 500,000 gallons per day for a total of 1 million gallons per day, or 1 MGD. When Mediumville decides to expand its plant to 2 million gallons per day to accommodate future growth for both systems, this leads to increased debt service payments that need to be recovered. But what if there's no agreement on how to share these costs? Continuing with our example, after the plant upgrade is completed, the total capacity is 2 MGD, but the total usage is still just 1 MGD. Is Smallville responsible for covering half of the costs of the new plant, since they use half of the water currently produced? Or are they responsible for only a quarter of the costs, since they only use a quarter of the total capacity of the new plant? Think about how tricky a situation that is. You can see the kinds of areas that need to be addressed and clarified in a well-written interlocal agreement. And remember, these are just some of the many issues that communities need to consider when it comes to creating a useful and long-lasting partnership. To find out more about crafting the perfect interlocal agreement and utilize other smart financial tools for today's public water systems, visit efcnetwork.org or environmentalfinance.org.